Before we begin, I want to make one thing very clear. Revising the entire syllabus perfectly in just 3 days is not possible for anyone. These last 3 days are not meant for completing the entire syllabus from scratch or revising every single chapter in detail. Instead, these 3 days should be used strategically. Your main focus should be on your weak areas, the concepts you tend to forget, and the mistakes you repeatedly make in the mock test. Those are the topics that deserve most of your attention because they are the areas where you are most likely to lose marks in the actual exam. So in this video, I am going to show you how I revised my syllabus in last 3 days before the exam, what I focused on in each subject, and how this revision helped me to master my preparation and avoid unnecessary mistakes on the exam day. So hello everyone, this is Ruby Yadav, currently doing MBBS at Government Medical College. I scored 622 marks in my NEET exam. So first, let's talk about biology. So the one thing I did not do during those last 3 days was read the NCERT from beginning to end again. And realistically, it's not possible for most of the students and it's completely waste of time. Instead, I followed a very targeted revision approach. I simply did a quick see-through of chapters. I simply flipped through the pages and focused only on tables, diagrams and concepts that had caused me trouble in the mock test. Whenever I made a mistake in a mock test because I couldn't recall NCERT particular line or fact, I had already marked it. So during revision, I went straight through those areas and revised them multiple times. Rather than spending hours on everything, I simply focused on those areas where I knew I was likely to lose marks. As I turned the pages, if I came across the line where I was already confident about, I didn't waste much time there. But whenever I found a line that had forgotten and confused me in the mock test, I stopped there and revised it carefully. I simply focused on the NCERT high-yielding lines, forgotten lines, and weak areas. And I was not trying to gather new information. I simply focused on what I have already studied. So now let's come to physics. So for physics, my revision was very simple and focused. I simply focused on formula revision because remembering the right formula at the right time can save you a lot of marks. I revised all important formulas, but I paid special attention to those formulas that I used to forget during mock test. Whenever I made a mistake in a mock test because I couldn't recall a particular formula or applied it incorrectly, I made sure to revise that formula multiple times during these last 3 days. Along with formula revision, I went through those questions that had troubled me in mock test. These were the questions where I repeatedly made mistakes or where my concept was not clear. I mainly focused on high-yielding topics and repeated formulas. So now let's come to chemistry. So in physical chemistry, I simply followed the same strategy as physics. I simply focused on formula revision, high-yielding topics and my weak areas. I revised my mistake notebook multiple times where I repeatedly made mistakes. I focused more on those formulas that has caused me problem during mock test. I revised my mistake notebook thoroughly because I have already written my mistakes and my concept that I used to forget during mock test. So now let's come to inorganic chemistry. So in this, I simply focused on NCERT highlighted lines, NCERT important points, tables, exceptions, and those marked points which I used to forget during mock test. And apart from that, I also went through the questions which I answered incorrectly during mock tests. And now let's come to organic chemistry. So in this, I simply focused on named reactions, conversion reactions and exceptions. If there was a reaction mechanism I frequently forgot or conversion that confused me, I made sure to revise that in last 3 days. So overall, my revision was completely mistake oriented. I simply focused on high weighted chapters, NCERT highlighted lines, formula revision and mistake notebook. And trust me, follow this strategy. This will take you to Government Medical College.